T-minus 4, 3, 2, 1.
Following is a 24 hours podcast.
I mostly remember feeling incredibly angry and just so frustrated and angry to the point where I was just literally physically sick, and it wouldn't go away the same way you would read any kind of story in the newspaper about a car accident, a missing person, something that kind of bothered you, and eventually you'd forget about it and go on with your day. And that just wasn't happening in this case. It wouldn't leave me, and for days and days I moped around thinking about this constantly until I realized that it wasn't going to be enough to just think about it and be upset about it, that I really had to take action. So I wrote a petition describing what was happening to the women and girls of Afghanistan. What was even more shocking to me, actually, than what the Taliban were doing, and that the Taliban had been somehow able to take power in the country, was that the international community was largely silent, and no one really seemed concerned. And the UN was saying little, the Canadian government at the time was saying little. When I started the Vancouver chapter of Women for Women in Afghanistan, I was 17, age has been a hindrance, both in terms of you go through a lot of trial and error in figuring out how to do things. Sometimes you think you can just do everything, and then you realize there's some learning involved. But there's just been countless times that I've walked into a room or gone to meet some people, and people did a double take because they were expecting maybe someone older, someone in a suit. And that happens now too. So I get raised eyebrows. Oh, you're doing that? What are you doing in Afghanistan? When I go to all these panels on Afghanistan, it's usually 4 or 5 white people sitting there talking about Afghanistan. And yet in Vancouver alone, there's at least 5,000 Afghans living here. And they're all following the issues. So they're knowledgeable, and they have a lot to say about what's happening in their country, about relations between Canada and Afghanistan. So why are they not at the table? What's missing are stories about real people, and this is having hugely, very, very grave consequences, because we're only faced with images of Afghanistan through pictures of like Taliban militants holding Kalashnikovs or Canadian soldiers fighting, and it helps just implant the idea in people's minds that this is a hostile place. These people are inherently war-loving warrior people, and they're different from us, and they're violent and scary, and that's not at all true in my experience working with Afghans, and they're very similar to Canadians in many ways, or to any people in the world. They want their kids to go to school. They're fighting their way out of poverty. They have the same hopes and dreams as any other people. But when you can't relate to them on a human level, it dehumanizes people, and then it becomes more acceptable to drop bombs on them, or to abandon the country and take it out of Canadian foreign policy assistance. My name's Laura Notes, and I am a volunteer board member with Canadian Women for Women in Afghanistan, and I'm also a freelance consultant in international development and human rights.
24hours.ca